Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Ayushi Paliwal from University of Delhi. Today we are going to talk on the module Continuous Signal Modulation from the paper Electronics. So students, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. First we will discuss about what is communication, including its block diagram. Then modulation and the need of modulation will be discussed. Amplitude modulation using a sinusoidal signal and exponential signal will be discussed. Sideband sinusoidal amplitude modulation will also be discussed in this module. Sinusoidal frequency modulation, frequency division multiplexing, amplitude modulation, which is done using a pulse train carrier wave, will also be discussed. And lastly, we will discuss about the time division multiplexing TDM. So students, let us start with the basic introduction about the module. In all communication systems, the information at the source is first processed by a transmitter or modulator to change it into a form suitable for transmission over the communication channel. At the receiver, the signal is then recovered through the appropriate processing. So, any communication channel has associated with it over it is best suited for transmitting a signal range, and outside the communication it degenerates severely. For example, atmosphere will rapidly attenuate the signals in audible range, whereas propagate at higher frequency over longer distance. Thus, in order to transmit the speed or the speech or the music over the channel that either relies on the propagation through the atmosphere, transmitter first embed the signal via appropriate process into another high frequency signal. What is communication? A process that can establish a connection between the two points for the purpose of exchange of information. That is a basic process of information exchange. For example, radio, telephone, telegraph, television, etc. So the elements of communication are: first, the generation of an idea or message and conversion into a suitable form for transmission. Second, transmission of encoded symbol to desired destination. Third, decoding and reproduction of original symbols. And lastly, the recreation of the original thought. Let us now discuss about the block diagram of communication system. So students, as can seen from this figure, which shows the block diagram of the communication system, starting from the information source, and we get the output by using output transducer and information in the original form. So here the information source, its function is to produce the required message which has to be transmitted. And then the output from this information source is fed to the input transducer, which is nothing but converts one form of energy into the other. It converts the input message into a time varying electrical signal. Like in the case of radio broadcasting, a microphone converts the information or a message which is in the form of sound waves into the corresponding electrical signal. Let us now discuss about the transmitter. It processes the electrical signal from different aspects. So in long distance communication, Signal amplification is a necessity. This is accomplished by a transmitter via the process of modulation. Modulation is the process of superimposing the message signal with high frequency carrier signal. Next is the channel. Channel is the medium through which the message travels from the transmitter to the receiver. Two types of channels are there. First is point to point channel. So a single receiving station is in contact with a single transmitting station. That is physical transmission from one point to the other point. For example, a wire line operated by guided electromagnetic waves and used in local telephone transmission. Optical fiber, low cost, well controlled, guided optical medium and used in optical communication. Second one is a broadcast channel. Several receiving stations can be reached simultaneously from a single transmitter. For example, a geostationary satellite in the orbit. Now there will be a noise, which is nothing but the unwanted signal which tends to interfere with the required signal. It is random in character and may interfere with the signal at any point in a communication system, interfering with the required signal. Next is the receiver, which reproduces the message signal in electrical form from the distorted received signal. So this uses the process of demodulation, which is the reproduction of the original signal from the received signal, and this takes place at the receiver. Lastly, we have the destination, which converts the demodulated electrical signal into the original form. Like the electrical signal received by radio antenna, it is converted into original sound. The major process of communication or the phenomena by which the communication cannot be happen or cannot take place is the modulation. It is the process by which a weak message signal can be easily transmitted over a long range by coupling with a carrier wave. Voice signal cannot travel long distance in air as it gets suppressed after a short distance, hence modulation is required. The two signals in modulation process are modulating signal, information signal, and carrier signal, high frequency signal. In this process, some of the parameters of the carrier wave such as amplitude, frequency or phase is varied in accordance with the modulating signal. Here the carrier wave acts as the carrier of information from transmitter to receiver. This modulated signal is then transmitted by the transmitter, which is shown in the following block diagram. Now the question arises, what is the need of modulation? Number 1, reduction in the height of antenna. The minimum height of antenna is lambda by 4, which is equal to C by 4f. So, for let's say f equal to 10 kilohertz, so if we multiply and if we'll calculate C by 4f, which is equal to 7500 meters. Now here lambda is the wavelength, f is the frequency and C is the speed of light. This antenna height is impossible to install. Now for 1 megahertz, height of antenna comes out to be 75 meter. This modulation effectively reduces the height of antenna. Secondly, it avoids the mixing of signals. Baseband signals which are transmitted without modulation by more than one transmitter will have signals in the same frequency range, that is 0 to 20 kHz. These signals will get intermixed and the user will not be able to separate one from the another. So, if each baseband signal is used to modulate a different carrier, then each signal will occupy a different slot in the frequency domain. So, as shown in this figure, we have three different signals which are modulated with the carrier of three different frequencies. The next reason for the need of modulation is that it increases the range of communication. Low frequency signals cannot travel a long distance when they are transmitted. So this attenuation reduces with increase in the frequency of the signal. This leads to the increase in the range of communication. Hence, modulation increases the range of communication. Secondly, multiplexing is possible. Multiplexing is the process by which two or more signals can be transmitted over the same communication channel simultaneously. So modulation allows same channel to be used by many signals. For example, many TV channels uses same frequency range without getting mixed with each other. Last need for modulation is that it improves the quality of reception. So the effect of noise is greatly reduced, especially by the using the frequency modulation. This improves the quality of reception. So if we are summarizing the modulation system, then we have two types of modulation, that is analog and digital modulation. In analog modulation, we have the amplitude, angle and pulse analog modulation. Digital modulation is divided into two, that is pulse code modulation and delta modulation. Now again, the angle modulation is divided into frequency and phase modulation, and the pulse code modulation is divided into pulse amplitude modulation, pulse width modulation and pulse position modulation. So let us first start with the first type of analog modulation and the most frequently used one, that is amplitude modulation. Communication systems rely on the concept of sinusoidal amplitude modulation, in which a complex exponential sinusoidal signal CT has its amplitude multiplied or modulated by the information bearing signal XT. The modulated signal YT will be YT equal to XT-CT, where XT is the modulating signal and CT is the carrier signal. So the common forms of sinusoidal AM based on carrier signal are complex exponential and sinusoidal. So let us first discuss about the exponential carrier signal. Here the carrier signal is the exponential complex, which is of the form Ct equal to exponential minus j omega Ct plus theta c. Now here the frequency omega c is referred to as the carrier frequency, and let us choose the theta c to be equal to 0, so that the modulated signal is yt equal to xt exponential minus j omega ct. From the multiplication property, and with xj omega, yj omega and cj omega denotes the Fourier transform of xt, yt and ct respectively, we have yj omega equal to 1 by 2 pi xj omega convolution cj omega. For ct, a complex exponential given in equation A, we have cj omega equal to 2 pi delta omega minus omega c, and hence yj omega equal to x omega j omega minus j omega c. Thus the spectrum of the modulated output yt is simply that if the input shifted in frequency by an amount equals to the carrier frequency omega c. So this figure shows the variation of xj omega, cj omega and yj omega with the frequency. So from equation B, it is clear that xt can be recovered from the modulated signal yt by multiplying by exponential minus j omega ct. In frequency domain, this has effect of shifting the spectrum of modulated signal yj omega back to its original position on the frequency axis. So this process of recovering the original signal from yj omega is demodulation. Now, if we are going to discuss the amplitude modulation using a sinusoidal carrier. So using a sinusoidal carrier, it corresponds to retaining only the real or imaginary part of the output. So the spectrum of the carrier signal is Cj omega equal to pi delta omega minus omega c plus delta omega plus omega c, and thus yj omega equal to 1 by 2 pi xj omega convolution cj omega, where yj omega is equal to half of xj omega minus j omega c plus xj omega plus j omega c. So this is shown in this figure that yj omega has the two components, that is the lower sideband and the upper sideband, which is having frequency omega c minus omega m and omega c plus omega m. Sideband sinusoidal amplitude modulation. The spectrum of xt is illustrated in this figure below, in which we have shaded the positive and the negative frequency components differently to distinguish between them. The spectrum in this figure results from the modulation with a sinusoidal carrier, where we identify an upper and the lower sideband for the portion of the spectrum centered at plus omega c and that centered at minus omega c. So we see from the above figures that xj omega can be recovered if only the upper sidebands at positive and negative frequencies are retained, or alternatively if only the lower sideband at positive and negative frequencies are retained. So the resulting spectrum, if only the upper sidebands are retained and if only the lower sidebands are retained, which is clearly shown in this figure. The conversion of xt to form like above is referred to as single sideband, in contrast to double sideband DSB, in which both sidebands are retained. So there are several methods by which single sideband signal can be obtained. One is to apply a sharp cutoff bypass, other pass filter, sharp cutoff band pass or high pass filter to the double sideband signal as shown below to remove the unwanted sideband. So another is to use a procedure that utilizes the phase shifting. Below is the figure which depicts a system designed to retain the lower sidebands. So the system Hj omega in the figure is referred to as a 90-degree phase shift network, for which the frequency response is of the form Hj omega equal to minus j for omega greater than 0 and plus j for omega less than 0. Sinusoidal frequency modulation. Modulating signal is used to control the frequency of the sinusoidal carrier, whereas in amplitude, peak amplitude of the envelope of the carrier is proportional to the amplitude of xt modulating signal. So in FM, envelope of the carrier is constant because transmitter can always operate at peak power. Also, amplitude variation introduced over the channel due to additive disturbances or this fading can to a large extent be eliminated at the receiver. FM systems are highly non-linear. angle modulation, the carrier signal is Ct is equal to A cos omega Ct plus theta c, which is equal to A cos theta t, where theta t is omega Ct plus theta c, where omega c is the frequency of the carrier wave and theta c is the phase of the carrier wave. So in general, angle modulation implies that theta t due to the modulating signal xt. So we can vary theta c using xt, that is modulated signal will be yt equal to A cos omega Ct plus theta c, where theta ct equal to theta naught plus kp xt. So if xt is constant, phase of yt, that is theta ct, is constant. Phase modulation is theta ct proportional to xt amplitude. Now if we vary the derivative of theta t, that is the angle in equation A, proportionally with xt, that is yt equal to A cos theta t, where d theta by dt equal to omega c plus kf xt. If xt is constant, yt is sinusoidal with frequency that is offset from carrier frequency omega c by an amount proportional to the amplitude of xt. This is called as frequency modulation. So the relation between the phase and the frequency modulation from equations C and D, theta t equal to omega ct plus theta ct equal to omega ct plus theta naught plus kp xt. This implies that d theta t by dx equal to omega c plus kp dx by dx only. So after comparing with f implies that phase modulating with xt is identical to frequency modulating with the derivative of xt, or frequency modulating with xt is identical to the phase modulating with integral to xt. So in this figure, both the phase and the frequency modulation are shown over here. That is for a specific signal, that is xt equal to tut. How the phase modulated wave and the frequency modulated wave looks like, it is shown in this figure. Frequency division multiplexing. Generally, systems provide more bandwidth than is required to transmitting any one signal. For example, microwave link has total bandwidth in gigahertz, which is higher than the bandwidth needed for one voice channel. So if individual voice channels having overlapping frequencies have their frequency shifted by sinusoidal amplitude modulation so that the spectra of modulated signals no longer overlap, they can be transmitted simultaneously over a single wideband channel. So the resulting concept is frequency division multiplexing, FDM. So individual signals to be transmitted are assumed to be band limited and are modulated with different frequencies, that is omega A, omega B, omega C. Modulated signals are then summed and transmitted simultaneously over the same communication channel. Through FDM process, the individual input signals are allocated distinct segment of the frequency band. So to recover the individual signals in demultiplexing process, first we need to have a band pass filtering to extract the modulated signal corresponding to a specific channel. Then this is followed by demodulation to recover the original signal. So this figure shows the schematic of the individual signals which have been multiplexed, that is frequency division multiplexing is taking place, and The curve for each these signals and the modulated FDM composite spectra is also shown in this figure. So the example based on this concept is a telephone communication, RF band transmission of signals via atmosphere, 10 kHz to 275 kHz, approximately 1 MHz AM broadcast band. Many stations can broadcast simultaneously via FDM. Tuning dial on receiver control both center frequency of bandpass filter and frequency of demodulating oscillator. Amplitude modulation with pulse train carrier. So AM of this type implies equally spaced time slices of xt. So in general, we would not expect that an arbitrary signal could be recovered from such a set of time slices. However, this could be possible if xt is band limited and pulse repetition frequency is high enough. Yt equal to xt-ct, which implies taking the Fourier transform yj omega equal to 1 by 2 pi xj omega star cj omega. Since Ct is periodic with a period t, then we can write Cj omega equal to 2 pi summation k equal to minus infinity to infinity ak delta omega minus k omega c, where omega c is 2 pi by t and ak are the Fourier series coefficients of Ct. That is ak equal to sine of k omega c delta by 2 divided by pi k. So here Cj omega consists of impulses in frequency spaced by 2 pi by t. So from equations A and B, we get yj omega equal to summation over k equal to minus infinity to infinity akx j omega minus jk omega c, which is a sum of scaled and shifted replicas of xj omega. The replicas of xj omega do not overlap as long as omega c is greater than 2 omega m. If this is satisfied, then xt can be recovered from yt using low pass filter with cutoff frequency greater than omega m and less than omega c minus omega m. So schematically, this process is shown and explained in this figure. Let us now discuss about the time division multiplexing. So AM with the pulse train is often used to transmit the several signals over a single channel. We know that the modulated output signal yt not equal to 0 only when the carrier signal ct is on, non-zero. This implies that during the intervals in which ct is off, other similarly modulated signals can be transmitted. So here each signal is in effect assigned a set of time slots of duration delta that repeat every t seconds and that do not overlap with the slots assigned to other signals. So smaller the delta by t, larger the number of signals that can be transmitted over the channel, and it is clearly shown in this figure. So students, let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. Firstly, we studied about what is meant by communication along with its block diagram. Second, the modulation, which is a very important phenomena in communication, and its need was discussed. Next, we discussed about the amplitude modulation, which is a very simple kind of modulation and the mostly used, using a sinusoidal signal and exponential signal. Next, we discussed about the sideband sinusoidal amplitude modulation. Next, the sinusoidal frequency modulation was discussed. The frequency division multiplexing, which is very important for communication through broadband, was also discussed. Amplitude modulation using pulse train carrier was also discussed. Lastly, we discussed about the time division multiplexing in this module. Thank you.